Hi, again. I was sick, I'm back. 4 albums to review in 4 different rooms. 2 blogs, 2 days. See? Not the numbers. They don't actually add up to much, but I can try, right? There's no joke to start this one off. I just want you to take a moment to observe the absurdity that is the return of Faith No More in their form of their album. Look at this. Alright, so here is the cover. You can see a nice diaper man there with a bag over his head and looks like to be holding a knife. Yes, he's definitely holding a knife. We'll observe that. And let's observe the back of this Faith No More album. You can see the midget devil there crying. Appears to be holding an ice cream cone. Yep, he's holding an ice cream cone. Chocolate, I believe, from the cover. And we've got Bagman's family here. They're very sad that he's out stabbing people. And on the inside of that, we've got Devilman's little family. It's so not cute at all. But, you know. And then, of course, the boys in Faith themselves out here. The boys are obviously back in town. Of course, John Hudson, Mike Borden, Billy Gold, Roddy Button, and Matt Patton, the man with the unbelievable vocal range. Seriously, check it out. There was a chart they made for a study a while ago that decided to look from the standpoint of recordings who had the most vocal range out of any rock artists, and just musicians in general, but mostly musicians in rock. And for a while, Axl Rose had the title before they expanded the search to a much wider range of musicians. And of course, the big boy and Mike Patton took that one because he's unbelievable. Seriously, it's insane what he can do with his voice. So much. So let's go into some history on Faith No More. Faith No More is an American rock band from South, of course, California, San Francisco. They were formed in 1981. The band was originally named Faith No Man. Bassist Billy Gold and keyboardist Randy Button and drummer Mike Borden are the longest remaining members of the band. Actually, Mike Patton was not the original singer, as crazy as that is. Having, of course, formed, Faith No More has since changed lineups several times, along with some major changes. The current version of Faith No More includes, like I said, Gold, Button, Borden, guitarist John Hudson, and Mike Patton. So let's go and see where it all started. They formed in 1979, actually. Bassist Billy Gold, Mike Borden, vocalist Mike the Man Morris, and keyboardist Jade Worthington. They described that as a take-a-piss on all elegant 80s groups at the time. That was the sound of their band. The Faith No Man eventually settled for Faith No More. Settled on records Quiet as Heaven, released in 1982. In Mike Wallace's garage. That's where they recorded their first tracks. After that, they eventually settled on Chuck Mosley and later Jim Marrin as guitarists, and they moved on. They started then, after a name change to Faith No More, to record We Care a Lot. It was from their own backing on a record label. They didn't really have a lot of money, so they pooled their money together to make 5 songs. They gained the attention of Rush Swartz, who then had them sign on to independent label Morden Records, under which the band finally got the necessary financial support and finished the album. Introduce Yourself was released in 1987, followed of the title track We Care a Lot, saw minor success, and yeah, I don't know, it wasn't a lot to do anything, but after Chuck Mosley was replaced by Mike Patton, they finally saw things. Mike Patton was singing with his high school band, Mr. Bugle, at the time. He was recruited by Martins after he heard a demo for Mr. Bugle. After he joined Faith No More, it was never the same, in a great way. 2 weeks later, they had written all the songs that would make up the Grammy Award-winning The Real Thing. Epic was released in 1989 and was a top 10 hit. It's huge. It was on MTV. It was despite anger of animal rights activists, a stop-motion slow shot of a fish flopping out of water was used as the music video. It's pretty great. They even cover War Pigs on the album. In 1991, Faith No More released their only live album, live at Brixton Academy. From there, Faith No More displayed even more experimental effort on their next one, Angel Dust. That was Mike Patton that pushed them to expand their boundaries and come with one of the most creative albums written ever. It's great. One of the more complex and simply confounding records ever released on a major record label. The single, Small Victory, which seems to run Madame Butterfly through Metallica and Nile Rodgers, is developing, unlikely, startling elements. It's a crazy album. Tracks like Midlife Crisis and Everything's Ruined are released as singles, and people still know Midlife Crisis. From there, they went on touring on that one for a while. From there, they went to make King for a Day in '95. King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. And Album of the Year. Album of the Year was released in 1997, and soon after the band broke up. They reformed in 2009 for a reunion, started recording. Their lead singer, motherfucker, gotta say it, sorry, it's the single, was used for live shows for years before they finally admitted they had been working on material, and this brings us to Soul, Invictus, which is the new one. So let's go through a rundown, not a run-do, that's a separate thing entirely. This is the start of the album. Starts off just crazy thing. I can't believe we have an album here, first of all, 16 years later. It's amazing that all this time they're making a reunion album that actually stands up to the heights of past albums. It's a looser, much more focused album. It finds the odd genre-defining rock group doing what they do best, of course. They combine rap rock, funk, heavy metal into one thing. Mike Patton still sounds unbelievably talented, as he always has, and the reunion album is a reunion album, but take that with a grain of salt because it's Faith No More. It starts with Soul Invictus. It opens with a piano and a snare drum before Mike Patton comes in, showing off his super diverse range and the slow down, low vocals. Journey of an album. It's a great start. From there, we start with Superhero, one of the two lead singles. Finds Mike Patton doing his metal vocal screams before a huge piano and a driven chorus. This song is what Faith No More are really good at. They just focus this in. They combine these great genre rocks with different sounds of metal, rock, jazz, blues. Mike Patton kills it here, and the funky side of the bass line sticks through the dense layers. This is a definite highlight on the album. Sunny Side Up, track 3, is a goofy little metal song about Mike's breakfast. Sunny Side Up eggs. I'm not even kidding you. It really is. The song itself it's good. It brings back the rock, and it brings back the eggs. I mean, metal can be silly, because it can. The next one's called Separation Anxiety. It sees Mike Patton start the songs with a bit of a gothic scat singing, and continues from there into an indie alt-rock, and back into gothic metal. From there we get to Cone of Shame, which starts off sounding like a western metal song, kind of, before a drum beat, and drives it in as Mike comes in. This song is something else. It really is. It starts off calm, all darkened completely, just before it comes undone. And then Mike just screams, "You're only happy when you're pissing me off." This is a song that's everything great about Faith No More and Mike. It's completely unglued and explosive after being reserved, and then quietly switches back to being quite weird western reserve song again. It's a highlight for sure. I love that song. Rise and Fall is a weird little gothic alt-rock song. It seems to jam along until it explodes into a huge metal chorus near the end. From there we go to Black Friday, not the holiday, the track. It starts with a very indie guitar riff and Mike talk singing. He's great at that. He later gets much louder and much more intense as the choruses, and then he's back to talk singing again, switching forth. Then we get to the best song on the album, the single they've been playing for years, and yes, the curse word I now have to say, motherfucker. It is in fact a song they've been playing for 4 years now. It was released as a single because it was just so good they had to use it. It's the album's rap rock track, and it kicks ass. It really does. This is a great song. It's much like Epic. It just has a cool rap burst that goes along and then explodes into a soaring chorus with Mike just owning it. It's a really good song. It's a highlight. From there we get to Matador. It's the honor of being the longest song on the album, clocking in at 6.5 minutes. It's driven by a piano solo, and I don't know, has a lot going for it as far as the song goes. It quietly plucks along, and then it builds a whole time and switches from quiet to huge jamming sessions. This is a song about the sad lives of bulls and the fights they have against matadors. This song has so much going on for it. It does so well. It's one of my favorites on here. I really like it. Seriously, check it out. The next one is the final track, which is From the Dead. From the Dead, it's closest to the album the way it starts off, and way more cheery than all the ones before it. It's kind of a happy call-out to the dedicated fans for sticking through with them. It's not the most diverse song, but it puts a happy spin on a very layered and dark album. What can I say? Seriously, this album delivers in every way for a reunion album that took 16 years to make. It actually stands up to the work of the album as a whole. Their past albums, which are great, which is a huge thing to say because let alone to get an album, but it to be decent and have some standout songs, but it to be awesome. Seriously, so happy with them. If you're a Faith No More fan, you walked away from this very happy. They sound great. They sound like they haven't aged a day. They don't sound like 50-year-old men. Instead of making music out of fear of disappointing fans, some bands just make music and prove that they should have been bands in the first place. I'm glad to hear they proved they should have been around again because, well, Fight No More, man. Faith No More. And it's epic. Seriously, check out. I would check out Superhero, Clone of Shame, Motherfucker, and Matador. 4 stars out of 5. Maybe even go as far as 4.5. It's tough to debate, but it's a very